Good morning, everybody. No apologies for absence. Can we approve the minutes of the 13th and 21st of January?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. I haven't got any announcements, except I would say that when the cameras are finished at the end of the meeting, could people just remain for a few minutes, please? Thank you. With no urgent items, I draw your attention to item 5, Members' Declaration of Interest. Okay. And then the capital programme update. This report informs Cabinet on the delivery of the Council's capital programme at the end of Q3 of the current financial year. In addition, the report also seeks approval to update the capital programme for expected capital receipts of 12 million, as well as seeking approval for 2 new projects and an uplift to funding a further project. Table 3 on the agenda, page 8, provides a summary of the Council's updated capital programme, and in total there remains significant investment of 271 million across the district over the next 5-year period, with 87 million of that being forecast to spend this year. This includes ongoing investment in our schools, highways, parks, and to deliver our regeneration ambitions. All changes to the capital programme have been detailed on page 7 and 8 in Table 2, Appendix 1B. It provides more details of the changes made since the last report to Cabinet, which was in November. In terms of the proposed additions, Section 3.3 of the 2 new projects that are proposed to be included in the capital programme. These are necessary works to the County Hall roof and new initiative for foster carers. Section 3.4 of the report provides an update on 2 existing projects in the capital programme. In 2019, approval was given to create a new facility at Phoenix 66 in Featherstone. Since then, unforeseen works have been identified, which means additional investment is required to bring this project to completion. The Council was successful in securing grant funding to support public sector bodies to decarbonise their property estate. Initially, 3 projects were in scope as set out in the report, and I'm pleased to report that despite costs increase, the Council has identified existing funding provision and can commit to proceeding with Sun Lane and Upton schools. Unfortunately, the scheme for South Parade no longer demonstrates value for money, and as such this element will not further progress. Colleagues, as some of the investment is in your areas, would any of you like to comment before we agree the paper? Jack.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, very much welcome the notes regarding public sector decarbonisation and Phoenix 66. For me, we've secured 3.37 million in government funding to undertake most of this decarbonisation work, so while we're having to put extra council capital in, the predominant amount of money is still coming from government to fund these improvement works. And if we didn't undertake them now with that government money, we would have to undertake the full work at a full council cost in the future. So it makes a lot of sense from a financial point of view, and also from a climate change point of view, with Sun Lane being one of our largest emitting buildings. And just on Phoenix 66, I think we're all frustrated with how long this project has taken, but we do need a brand new state-of-the-art depot. We need to replace Newton Bar and get our people out of there into something more modern that can suit the needs of a district. And this is something we've absolutely got to do. So fully support both measures and the capital programme update. Thank you.
Maureen.
Yeah, I certainly support the investment, particularly in the County Hall roof. My question isn't about the approval. My question is for clarity, and it is at 1.2. It suggests that 3.3 there are two schemes, but 3.4 there is only 1 scheme. But in actual fact, there are 2 schemes.
Yes.
There's the Phoenix and the decarbonisation. So I don't know whether that's an error in the report that needs correcting.
Yes, I think it's a typing error, but
Thank
yes,
you.
Thank you for pointing it out. Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, we always welcome further investment into our highways. It's something that people are so passionate about. It's something that comes upon our doorstep, and people are very forthright in their views. So anything to support the highways network is appreciated. That with the additional money that we're getting from the government, which is an extra £2 million this year, is a massive injection, something we haven't seen for quite a while in there, so I'm really pleased about that. I do have to comment on the County Hall roof. I did read the report in the Express. That's not the County Hall that I go in and recognise. It's not falling down, it's not a dilapidated state. Them civic rooms are still there looking very grand as they are, but we do know the roof does need repairing. We've had some tough times over the last couple of years, so it's now right that we do focus some money on that roof, but I can reassure the public that County Hall, as we all go in there, is still fit for purpose, maybe a little leaky in a couple of places.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I think in the press and the social media particularly, people were saying that the County Hall was about to collapse, which is not true at all. But we have to find the funding to repair the roof. It's a building that the public care about, it needs looking after, and we're determined to look after it. Les?
Yeah, I think adding to that, it's really important. It's a significant building, but it's the main building, and it's not falling to bits. It's got a lot of good usage at present, but we need to make sure it's watertight, and that's why we're spending 5.9 million on making it watertight, so that we can then take it to the next level. And I'm sure we'll do that over the next few years. It's something that we feel really important about, not just the County Hall, but the buildings in Wakefield, and we're constantly looking at that side of it, and we'll continue to do so.
Thanks for that, Les. Caroline, the point that Councillor Cummings made, would you like to clarify that?
Yeah, for the two schemes, only one of them...
Caroline, I'm sorry.
Of the two schemes which referenced at 3.4, only one of them actually needs additional injection into the capital programme, which is Phoenix 66. The second project, although there is additional funding required, as Councillor Henry may have alluded to, that money is coming from elsewhere in the existing approved programme. So although there's two schemes referenced, the reason it only says one at the front here is because we're only asking for injection for one of the two. So hopefully that clarifies.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarity.
Thanks very much for that. Okay, Margaret, sorry.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I just want to comment on 3.3.3, the capital grant scheme for civil replacements. I'm extremely pleased that this has been put into the programme. It's not only going to make better outcomes for the children involved, to be separated from siblings at what will be a traumatic time anyway. It's wonderful that we're actually looking not only to save money, but to improve these outcomes for these young people.
Okay, thanks for that, Margaret. Anyone else? Okay, are we happy to approve the report? Okay, thanks very much, colleague. Item 7 is the revenue budget and council tax 25-26. In January, we set out the budget proposals for the upcoming financial year, and since then these proposals have been open for a second period of resident and other stakeholder engagement, which closed at the end of January. And I'd like to thank everyone, officers, public, trade unions who commented at the time and taking the time to respond. We do want to know what people think and what they feel across the district, and it's good to get those opinions. The result of the engagement is set out at Appendix 13, commencing on page 169. In total, across both periods of consultation, there was a total of 1,592 responses, which really is quite a huge improvement on previous years. People are beginning to realise that local government is important to them, and because of what's happening across the country, they're taking much more interest in what we do, and I think that is good for us because we know what people are thinking. As you will see in the report today, the council has listened from staff and all of them, residents and unions, and as a result we've made some changes to our budget proposals. Jack will talk about this in a minute, including the removal of the frequency of garden waste, and we will no longer be progressing the changes in the opening times of libraries, museums and castles. Full details of the changes in the initial budget proposals are detailed at 3.7. Jack, do you want to come in here?
Yes, thank you, Leader, and very much welcome this budget and pay tribute to all colleagues in finance and other departments for their hard work, particularly Caroline Carter as the lead for that in the hard work that's gone into this budget and get us to this point. I think it's fair to say the challenges facing ourselves and authorities across the country have not gotten any easier. We've got the legacy of austerity, inflationary pressures, rising demand for council services. We've still had to make cuts that many of us would rather not have done, but trying always to protect those frontline services, as the leader has just said. And it's always a balance between cuts, use of reserves, raising income to try and meet the budget gap. It's not easy, but I think through careful financial stewardship, this authority has one of the more stable positions in West Yorkshire and indeed in local government, and will have one of the lower council tax rates in West Yorkshire, if not the lowest. But we're also a listening council, as the leaders just said. We're alert to the concerns of residents, and if you look at section 3.7 of the report on page 63, we have removed those budget measures that were causing particular concerns to residents, and that does include the frequency of garden waste collections. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to, thanks to a slightly more positive settlement from government and other measures we've taken, protect free garden waste collections in Wakefield at a time when many other councils, as many as 70%, are now introducing charges for green waste or reducing service provision, and Wakefield will remain in that positive minority of authorities providing a full free service. I think it's sometimes easy to forget when we talk about budgets that as well as the painful and difficult cuts, there are many good things happening in this district. As a result of this budget, many more good things will happen for the district and our people. We have a capital programme, as we've just heard, that's investing tens of millions into improvements, both with our own carefully shepherded funds and with external government grant. We've got improvements to parks and green spaces, safer roads, verge hardening, regeneration of towns and cities, improved care for vulnerable adults and children, investment in sports and culture, buses, infrastructure, school repairs. There's countless capital investments which will make a district a better place. So let's not just talk about cuts. There are literally hundreds of projects set out in Appendix 2 of this report which will make our district a better place to live, work and raise a family. And I believe this council, as many others, despite the challenges we face, remains a force for good that will continue to deliver on local people's priorities. So fully support this budget, leader.
Thank you. Hannah, do you want to comment on the library?
Yes, please. As you've both acknowledged, the public response to the consultation was fantastic. I think on the libraries, the museum and the castle hours, over 900 people online gave us their views. And as you said, we're a listening council. And it was very, very clear from the feedback just how valued and loved these services are. So I think it's really good news that we are in a position not to go ahead with reducing the hours for our libraries, museum and castles. And actually a lot of the feedback that the public have given us kind of ties in what you're saying, Jack, in terms of we're in a position where we can plan for the future and we can kind of build on the fantastic services that we've got. You've referenced, again, if you think about WX, which is opening this week, the investment culturally from this council for this district is fantastic. So to come back to libraries and museums are a really positive position for us not to have to reduce the hours. So.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hannah. Thanks for that, Jack. I think that those two alone have really raised the bar. The public are really happy about the library closures. When you think about it, low-paid women workers work in the libraries and they were concerned about their jobs, and we've been able to do that. And the green waste, other councils are charging and we're not. So I really think that, you know, we're not crowing about it because times are tough. And it's not celebrating that we're having to make cuts, but we're doing the best. We are a well-run council, and we are making sure that we do all we can to protect frontline services. So today's budget is put forward as the final budget proposals for 25-26, which will, if approved today, will be presented to Budget Council on the 3rd of March. It's also been through scrutiny committee as well, and they've looked at this. And the full range of savings are included at Appendix 2. This also includes an analysis of progress against the staffing changes that are required. We are continuing to make excellent progress against this, and I will ensure that the most up-to-date position is shared at Budget Council. We're acutely aware that it's a difficult time for people across the district, across the country, and these proposals do include an increase in council tax, which is not a decision that we want to take, but as Jack has said, we are probably going to be the lowest council tax in West Yorkshire at 4.99. So it isn't easy when you think what other authorities are doing. it makes it ours in a more modest way. It's still not going to be helpful for people having to pay this, but it will provide the best services we can moving forward. And a 4.9 council tax brings in 9.1 million each year, which is important to us to provide our services. Anybody else want to comment on this? Okay, can we agree that we take this now to the budget on the 3rd of March? Thanks very much. Agenda item 8, Capital Investment Strategy and Capital Programme 24-25 to 28-29. Councils are required to prepare a capital and investment strategy as well as a treasury management strategy statement. This report, which commences on agenda page 183, provides details of the proposed strategies for 25-26 financial year. The investment strategy is included in full at Appendix 1 and the Treasury Management Strategy at Appendix 3. These documents are vital tools that support the delivery of the Council's corporate priorities through having affordable and sustainable programme of capital investment. Some highlights of the Council's investment include 25 million on our highways, 2 million on flood, land drainage and contaminated land scheme, 22 million for schools, 26 million for regeneration schemes, including the ongoing externally funded schemes in Wakefield and Castleford, and 16 million for property infrastructure works. To note, the capital programme has been prepared on the basis that Cabinet approved the additional investment set out in item 6 today. The recommendations are set out in section 2, and we recommend these strategies to full council at the budget meeting on the 3rd of March. Is everybody in agreement with the recommendation? Anybody want to comment? Okay, thanks very much.